It certainly was not as straightforward as some were expecting or hoping, even, but Chelsea have progressed into the Conference League quarterfinal. The Blues were far from their best over the 2 legs against Copenhagen. It was very much a similar story in both games, with underwhelming first-half displays bailed out somewhat by much improved performances in the second period. 5 changes were needed, though, at halftime across the course of both legs, with 3 in the first and 2 in the second. On Thursday evening, where Kiernan Dewsbury Hall's strike on 55 minutes proved to be enough for the West Londoners to progress 3-1 on aggregate and win 1-0 on the night, Enzo Maresca brought on Cole Palmer and Marc Cucurella. Both changed the match in Chelsea's favor, with Palmer in particular having an enormous influence on proceedings. His presence alone, even with a now 10-game goal drought in all competitions, seemed to bring belief to those in blue at Stamford Bridge. It gave the crowd a lift, too, something Maresca would have been hoping to do when he made the double change. While he could not end his barren run in front of goal, the 22-year-old certainly sent a reminder, if at all needed, of what he brings to the team. Chelsea were from the vintage attacking side we saw earlier in the season, but they did not need to be against a dangerous, albeit underwhelming, Enzo Fernandez wore the captain's armband for Chelsea, with Reece James on the bench after recovering from illness. Fernandez has often been the Blues' skipper this season in James' absence and leads by example when he is on the pitch. Usually, anyway, with the Argentine's 45-minute cameo noticeably below par on Thursday evening. However, when it comes to pre-match huddles between the teams, it looked like Fernandez did none of the talking to his teammates. Instead, Tosin Adarabioyo was trying to sparkle some of his experience and wisdom onto a group of players that were all younger than him, bar Dewsbury Hall, who was born in the same month. It makes sense. As mentioned, Tosin is one of the more senior players within the Chelsea squad. He is very experienced compared to most, and English is his first language, while Fernandez has grown up speaking Spanish. Around 20 minutes into the game, Maresca did not like what he was witnessing from his Chelsea players in attack. The game was flat and the wingers were struggling to make an impact. In particular, Jadon Sancho, whom Maresca called over to the touchline to give some advice to. During a stoppage in play, the Italian was speaking to Sancho for around a minute, but whatever he said to him didn't really work. It was once again an underwhelming performance from the winger who is on loan from Manchester United until the end of the season. He looked a bit, and even that is stretching it, brighter in the second half when Palmer was introduced. Sancho had a pop shot from the left-hand side, but it was far too central and simple for the goalkeeper to parry away. He probably should have caught it. In fact, in a rather remarkable statistic, that was Sancho's first shot on target for Chelsea in all competitions since the defeat to Fulham on Boxing Day. Sancho had to wait 780 minutes across 14 matches for his next attempt that tested the goalkeeper. Fernandez was not at his brilliant best, as mentioned above, but replacing him at halftime would surely have been pre-planned by Maresca with a trip to Arsenal on Sunday afternoon. With such a short turnaround, a lot of what Maresca did in the second half seemingly points towards the visit to the Emirates Stadium in the Premier League. He perhaps would not have wanted to bring Cucurella on but felt like he needed to in order to see out the tie. Elsewhere, Sancho was taken off with 25 minutes to play for Christopher Nkunku. Both could well start in North London on Sunday. James, who is also in contention to be in the starting lineup at the weekend, came on from Waz's Caicedo with just over 10 minutes of normal time remaining. In an ideal world, Caicedo would have been nowhere near the pitch, metaphorically, anyway, on Thursday evening, but his brilliance in the middle of the park was needed for Chelsea on the night. Also, it was rather telling that Philip Jorgensen returned to Thursday night duty. The Dane had briefly taken over as Maresca's no.1 goalkeeper, but Robert Sanchez was given the nod against Leicester City. It felt like whoever started against Copenhagen, then the other goalkeeper will play versus Arsenal. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Bruno Fernandes hat-trick powered Manchester United past Real Sociedad, while Tottenham overcame AZ Alkmaar to reach the Europa League quarterfinals. Lyon, Rangers, Lazio, and Athletic Bilbao also progressed, setting up exciting last 8 clashes. Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes scored a hat-trick in a 4-1 win over 10-man Real Sociedad, and Tottenham overcame AZ Alkmaar 3-1 as both Premier League clubs advanced to the Europa League quarterfinals Thursday. The second-tier tournament offers both teams a chance for a trophy amid lackluster domestic campaigns and get a welcome bonus of a spot in the Champions League next season. Fernandes converted to penalties before completing a hat-trick in the 87th minute, and Diogo Dalot roofed United's fourth in stoppage time to set up a last 8 matchup with Lyon, United advanced on a 5-2 aggregate score. United trailed after 10 minutes when Mikel Oyarzabal scored from the penalty spot at Old Trafford. The visitors went down a man when John Aramburu received a straight red in the 63rd minute. It was a good performance. The physicality was there, United manager Ruben Amorim told TNT Sports. Even without the sending off, you felt that the team was going to win this game. In London, Wilson Odobert scored twice for Tottenham, which will face Eintracht Frankfurt in the quarterfinals. Spurs advanced 3-2 on aggregate. After a 1-0 loss away last week, Spurs got a 26-minute goal from Odobert after high-pressing forced a turnover. James Maddison doubled the lead on the night shortly after the break, which gave Spurs a 1-goal advantage overall. But the Dutch team wasn't done, and Pierre Koopmeiners pounced on a defensive mistake just 2 minutes after centre-back Mickey van de Ven was subbed off and scored in the 63rd. The 20-year-old Odobert scored the vital goal in the 74th from close range after a backheel pass from Dominic Solanke to seal Spurs' trip to the quarterfinals. "We progressed, which is the main thing," Tottenham manager Ange Postecoglou said. "It got a bit nervy towards the end, but we thoroughly deserved the progress." Lion-rooted FCSB 4-0 at home, Georges Mikotadze and Ernest Numa both scored twice, to advance 7-1 on aggregate. Rangers won a penalty shootout 3-2 over Fenerbahce to set up a quarterfinal matchup against Athletic Bilbao. Fenerbahce had 1-2-0 on the night. In the last 16 tie finished 3-3 on aggregate. Earlier, Athletic used a one-man advantage and 2 goals from Nico Williams to beat Roma 3-1 and advance to the quarterfinals. Roma won the first leg of their round of 16 tie 2-1 last week but had to play with 10 men from the 11th minute after Mats Hummels received a straight red card for downing Marouane Sanadi. The visitors held firm until first half stoppage time when the Williams brothers broke the deadlock. Nico was at the far post when a deflected cross by Inaki from the left landed in his path to score the opener. Yuri Burkic headed in the second and Nico added his second of the night to seal it for the hosts to remain in contention for the final that will take place at their stadium on May 21st. Leandro Paredes scored for Roma in stoppage time. Lazio advanced after Alessio Romagnoli's header in the 77th minute salvaged a 1-1 home draw with Viktoria Plzeň, which got an early second-half goal from Pavel Solk. Lazio had beaten Plzeň 2-1 in the first leg. The Italian team will next play Bodø Glimt, which also advanced despite losing 2-1 at Olympiacos. The Norwegian side had won 3-0 at home last week and moved on through a 4-2 aggregate score. Frankfurt beat Ajax 4-1 at home to reach the quarterfinals with a 6-2 aggregate score. Mario Gigi led the 2020 Europa League champion and 1980 UEFA Cup winner with 2 goals. Chelsea reached the quarterfinals of the third-tier Conference League with a 1-0 victory over Copenhagen to advance 3-1 on aggregate. Fiorentina ousted Panathinaikos after a 3-1 home win and will play Slovenian team Chelsea that beat 10-man Lugano 3-1 on penalties after they ended 5-5 on aggregate. Real Betis routed Vitória SC 4-0 in Portugal and advanced 6-2 aggregate to play Polish team Jagiellonia, which lost to Cercle Brugge in Belgium 2-0 but advanced thanks to its 3-0 home win last week. Rapid Wien made the next round after topping Borek 2-1 in extra time. Djurgården beat Paphos 3-0 and Progress 3-1 on aggregate. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.